Hey everyone, I'm John Nepper, the Trust and Connection Maximizer. Welcome to another episode of To Talk Smart, where I'm interviewing the movers and shakers, the heavy hitters of the Wisconsin chapter of the National Speakers Association. My guests will share their ideas and strategies about growing a successful speaking business and having fun doing it. Topics will fit into the National Speakers Association 4 E's of the speaking business, including enterprise, expertise, eloquence, and ethics. My guest for today's episode is Eliz Greene, surviving a heart attack at age 35 while 7 months pregnant with twins, propelled Eliz Greene on a mission to share her story to inspire other people, other busy people, to pay attention to their health. Recognizing stress as an essential and under-addressed risk factor, Eliz conducted a research study on job stress. Eliz is an author and was named as a top online influencer on stress and heart health. Organizations such as NASA and CVS have used her strategies to reduce workplace stress. Eliz is the current president of the National Speakers Association Wisconsin chapter and a past dean of the Wisconsin Speaker Academy. Morning, Eliz.
Good morning.
Hey, happy to have you here this morning. This is a program called To Talk Smart. I'm talking to you this morning to find out ideas about what you think are really valuable for aspiring speakers, people who want to build a speaking business. What do they need to know? What do they need to think about? So maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you got into this game and how long you've been in it and what it's done for you and what do you hope to have it do for you?
Well, I am one of those speakers who has a wacky story to sort of launch me into the speaking world. I have a wacky medical story. The short version is that at age 35, while 7 months pregnant with twins, I had a heart attack. Fortunately, I'm fine. Our daughters are 21. We were recording this in 2022. So in case you're watching this later, you can add whatever years you need to that. Honestly, I woke up from that experience knowing that I'd been giving this weird story for a reason and with a vision of standing in front of people telling the story to inspire them to pay attention to their own health. That is the motivation. I came to NSA Wisconsin through Mike McKinley, who is past president of our chapter and a past national president. He was also my dad's college roommate. So when I told my mom, hey, I think I want to do this professional speaking thing, she said, oh, you need to talk to Mike McKinley. She was absolutely right. He told me to go find the Wisconsin chapter because they would help me. And he was absolutely right. I found NSA Wisconsin, found people who will be my lifelong friends and colleagues and who really did, pat the chair beside them and say, come sit over here and let me help you, and held out their hands and showed me the way. I know you've talked to Mike Domish. Mike was one of the first people who really reached out to me in the chapter and was instrumental in helping me that first couple of years. He also had a lot of tough love. So at some point he told me he would not answer any more of my questions until I registered for the national convention. So it's like a family, right? There's a lot of generosity, but sometimes there's tough love too. And I think that's the important piece, is that when you become part of the NSA Wisconsin family, we are genuinely interested in your success. Having great speakers out in the world doing great work is the best advertisement for all of us. So that's how I came to NSA Wisconsin. I am also a serial volunteer. So early on, there was a program called Fast Track before Academy. And Fast Track was 18 months or something like that. and I found out what the qualifications were, and it was, the same thing, 20 paid engagements in 12 months, that sort of thing. And I'm like, I am not taking 18 months. I am getting that done. So I got that done. I was highly motivated. And I think about 6 months after I got it done, I became dean of the academy. But I think it's actually really important to have people who have made that journey recently be in charge of the academy, because those of us who I think it's been 17 years, something like that for me, you forget what it's like when you're starting out. So having somebody who's recently made that journey being in charge of the academy, I think is really important. That being said, I ran the academy for 10 years.
10 years.
And I loved it. It was a constant reminder of me to get back to the basics. And that's a really long answer. Before I keep babbling on, did I answer all of the parts of the question?
I think you did. And I want to go back to a couple of things you said. The first thing about NSA, especially NSA Wisconsin, being a family, I find is really true for me as well, where I think I met the family in the late 1990s, and circumstances and whatever else in my life, I never became a member. And so I came back to it more recently. But every time I tell people about it, I say the very same thing. It's like a family. It's so supportive. People will go out of their way to give you what they can to help you be successful. And that's what I love about it too. Really do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So 10 years as the dean in Academy, what were some of the favorite things you did with Academy?
The work that I really loved was watching people come in that, like, I don't even know what my topic is state, and watching the growth over time and being part of that growth. And as you know, it's really about meeting people where they are. And sometimes, almost always, it's reminding them of the things that they've already said. Getting them to focus back on what they came with and that passion. And because we get into this business and it is full of good ideas and good advice, and it's very easy to sort of, go all over the place. And I saw my role as dean of the academy of really trying to get people to focus on what's the next step. So you can't really put your website together until you figure out what your topic is, what you're uniquely providing to that topic, and who your audience is, right? And who your buyers are. So without that information, any money that you're spending on a website is probably not going to be used in a valuable way, because you're putting that cart ahead of the horse. So like trying to get people to focus on getting all of those pieces in place. Because I really hate seeing people spend money in a way that's not going to turn out to be valuable.
Right. That's the thing that I think is really critical, that I think it's such a good reminder, and something that everybody needs to think about is like, what's the problem you solve? Who are you speaking for, and who's buying you?
Right.
And I know for myself, it's like, sometimes I don't know that answer. And so coming to people who know or who can direct me, and you were one of those people, to say, well, think about this, or I hear you saying this, you want to go in this direction, really helps, I think, give people some guidance and some sort of compass to keep going.
Yeah,
Do you have any
absolutely.
favorite stories in particular, like someone or something that really stands out?
Oh, what happens in academy stays in academy
That's
a
true.
lot of the time. But what is memorable for me are the people who really struggled, the people who, for whatever reason, had a block about and almost always it comes from a level of insecurity or like, who am I to talk about that? Who am I? That sort of thing. And seeing people get over that hurdle, get through that hurdle. And my absolute favorite thing in the entire world is to watch somebody who went through Academy get their CSP.
Yes.
That is my favorite thing. And it's happened quite a few times over the years. And I can't even express. And for those of you who don't know what the CSP is, it's the Certified Speaking Professional. It's NSA's earned designation. You really have to provide evidence of a very successful business over a period of time. Really, it's a 5-year evidence gathering over 10 years sort of thing. It's a lot of work to do. And it's a real recognition of a successful speaking business. So it makes me so happy when somebody does that.
And I think it's a good thing for people to set a marker for that 5 years or 7 years or 8 years from now, whatever it takes, that's where I want to be. Because I think it gets people thinking long term too, like not just 20 paid speaking engagements in 12 months, but what can I do in 5 years?
But I will say all of the things that you learn in Academy, all of those goals that are set forth in the rubric we have for graduation, if you do those and you continue to do those and you record keep and you do the things that are necessary, that CSP is a likely output of the Academy. You are set up well to do it. And one of the things I feel really good about, and I wasn't alone in this process, is putting together that rubric, is that if you do these things, if you graduate from the Academy, you are set up well for success in this business.
What are some of the things that you think are the most important for people, aspiring speakers, to do now? Perhaps the landscape is different, but maybe the things they need to do are the same, or maybe you have some new ideas for people to think about in 2022.
I think they're the same. It's the rubric hasn't changed. You need to set up your business for success. You need to have a marketing plan. You need to, and setting up your business, I mean, like, you need to have the bank account. You need to, those sort of things. The way those things are done has changed in terms of, the CRMs are different. Like, back in the day, it was a spreadsheet, right? We were faxing. I mean, this is how far I go back. We were picking up the phone and calling. Email wasn't even as big of a deal. So it's like the evolution of how we do things has changed, but what you need to do to be successful has not changed. I think there are things that you need to have, know, and do in order to move your business forward, to start it or to grow it. And they're the same. And I think one of those things that you need to have throughout your career are people who will tell you the truth. People with knowledge in the business who will tell you the truth, which I think is another reason the Academy is such a good thing. You have this peer group. Many of your peers are bringing expertise from other industries outside of speaking into the group. So that's valuable. And then you have your mentors who are there to help you as well. People who know what they're talking about, who will tell you the truth, are such a valuable piece of building that successful business. And as you move out of Academy, finding that group, that mastermind group, that peer support group is very, very helpful.
So you mentioned Mike said that you needed to get to influence. It wasn't called influence back then.
It was not. It was just called convention.
So that was a hard truth. What can you think of some other things, either that people have told
Oh,
you, or that you've told other people, that either really changed course for you, or something you said that was a hard truth that somebody needed to hear coming from you?
right. So, over time, there are people whose counsel I seek out. Mike is one, Lois Kramer is another. There are lots of people. Lois Kramer is a truth teller, especially when it comes to the money end of things. Um, the in my market has changed over time, over and over. Things just change, and maybe my content and my focus has changed too. So where that money is coming from is in a different place, and now I have to figure out how to get in contact and market to and attract that new market. Lois is very helpful on that, but one of her things that she says is, who with money needs what you do? And that is a hard question, because especially when we're starting out, we're like, everybody needs to hear what I need to say. But it's like, okay, sure, great, maybe that's true, but who with money is going to pay for it is an entirely different level of question. And that is the hard thing, honestly, over and over again, to say, I have this new idea. I think this, like, I have a poster right now, right on my computer, only one, with a really good idea. But I need to figure out who with money is going to pay for people to get that idea. That's the kind of truth telling, because I think a lot of us come to the profession or to academy with this dream, with this mission. Like, I had that, like, I want to inspire people to pay attention to their own health. Yes, everybody needs to hear that message, but who's going to pay for people to hear the message is an entirely different thing. But once you figure that out, and if you have something, John, you've heard my Girl Scout cookie analogy in terms of sales. You need to make buying you as easy as it is to buy Girl Scout cookies. Like, if you have to describe what it is not an easy purchase. When the Girl Scouts, the cute little brownie says to you, do you want Girl Scout cookies? The answer is yes or no. Or perhaps, do you have Thin Mints? But it's not, I don't understand what Girl Scout cookies are, right? You need to have the box to offer to somebody that is so clear that they can say yes or no, but do you have this type? That's where you need to be. That
And
was
I
a
think
long,
that comes back
long
to
answer.
clarity of message and clarity of,
Right.
not just clarity of audience, but like you say, clarity of who's going to buy the Girl Scout cookies.
Right.
Because
Right.
the audience may be the people that really like the Girl Scout cookies or really need the Girl Scout cookies. Of course, none of us need the Girl Scout cookies. But,
I disagree. Some of us do need the Girl Scout cookies.
well, there might be some truth to that as well. But who is going to buy them?
Right. So you're not asking the 7-year-old who's coming to the grocery store if they want Girl Scout cookies. Of course they do. You're asking mom or dad.
Right. So how do you tell somebody, or how do you go about finding the buyer, the person who's going to pay you money?
Oh, yeah. Well, as you know, that's the real work, is that my advice almost always to somebody who is starting out is to start with your own network. Start with the people that you already know. And maybe they're not the buyer, but they likely can point you in the right direction of the buyer. And most of our academy members come from an expertise outside speaking, right? They've been a professor, they've been a business person, they've owned their own, whatever it is, or they've had weird experiences. But they're coming with an expertise over here. But that expertise has gained a network. So for me, when I started out, I recognized that the American Heart Association was doing this campaign for women and heart disease, raising awareness about women and heart disease, and the fact that particularly at that point, they were not getting the same treatment for heart-related issues as men. And nobody was paying attention, frankly. So American Heart Association has 600 events every year at that time. Go Red for Women luncheons that needed a speaker. I'm going to work that network.
Sure.
And that's what I did for the first probably 6 years of my business. I just worked that network. And then that market changed and I had to find a new market. But by that point, I had built other relationships. So I had built relationships with the hospitals that sponsored those Go Red for Women luncheons and kept in touch with those folks. And then I have a new market to sort of go after. And you just keep expanding your network to the point where, hopefully there's a flow, but that takes work. And
Right.
sometimes you get to flow where the work is more coming to you instead of you're going out and finding it. But then the market changes and you're back to going out and finding it. So it's like you're constantly redefining that.
And you also have to, like you say, you have to go out and find it. And eventually, as you leave an impression, people like you, they really were moved by what you say, then they'll come and find you, but you still have to go out and find that network first.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think a lot of us give advice to new aspiring speakers to go out and speak for free. The way you get good is to do it a lot. Going out and speaking for free for your Rotary, for your Optimist Club, for women's networking groups, whatever it is, great idea when you're starting out. But there's a second step that a lot of us miss, which is, yes, you went there and spoke for free, but that doesn't mean that that experience doesn't have value. It does. There were people in the audience who you can now have on your contact list. Some of them may be looking for a speaker for something. Some of them may want more of your stuff. Some of them are going to be your lifelong fans now. If you don't ask for their contact information in some way, back in the day, it was little cards that you fill out. Now there's QR codes and text to blah, 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 everything. Have something to give them, whether it's a tip sheet, an ebook, something that doesn't cost you any money in exchange for their contact information. And ask the question, do you know, does your organization have a need for what John does? Yes or no, can we contact you? It's simple, but it makes those free engagements more valuable, in addition to the just getting time on the platform, doing your thing and making a good impression in the room, which is the best way to build your business, making the good impression in the room.
And like you say, getting good at something is what's going to make you memorable. Because we've all heard plenty of bad speakers, or not even bad speakers, but just speakers who are not memorable.
Yes.
But getting out there and doing it. Someone once told me too, it's not speaking for free, it's speaking for no fee. And there's a difference in the mindset too about how you think about it.
Yeah. Well, and it's not speaking for free. It's marketing. That's what you're doing. You're marketing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole program I was involved in that the whole idea was called Speak to Sell. And was exactly what it was. The speech was the marketing to get more business, to get more engagements, to get more money. But it was definitely a marketing plan.
Yeah. And I think throughout your career, having a model that allows you to do an engagement for no fee, especially if it's putting you in front of likely buyers, or doing something for a reduced fee for the same reason, or because it's just a group you want to work with.
Mhm.
There are nonprofits that I will go and do a program for just because I believe in the work that they do. I make it affordable and easy. As long as it's a revenue neutral thing for me, I will go do it.
Mhm. Right. Can you talk about your mastermind group or the
Sure.
importance of masterminds and then your group, whichever way you want to do that? But I think as people are coming into Academy, we've encouraged them to be in masterminds. Some have, some not, but there's one that's really cooking right now. I think there's 4 or 5 people in it and they love being in it. They were at our NSA event last year where your mastermind was there,
Mm,
and you could tell the lights and bells went up. So I
yeah.
think this is important for us to hear about that.
Well, and I was actually in an event. I mean, this is why I have a mastermind group. I was in an event, and I think it was probably Chris Clark Epstein who was leading the breakout session. I was sitting next to Kim Kotecki, who's another member, Jason and Kim, in Wisconsin. And I was sitting next to her, and the idea of a mastermind group and how important it is to the sort of trajectory of your career was discussed. And we looked at each other and were like, okay, that sounds like a good idea. So my first mastermind was just in NSA, Wisconsin. There were, 4 speakers. We came together, I don't know, I think 4 times a year in person. And we did that for years, and then things change. And that's part of the understanding is sometimes you have a great group for a while and it works great. And then maybe people move on to do something else, or they move out of town or whatever it is, and things flex. That's okay. That doesn't mean that group wasn't a success. It just means it was a success for this period of time. And then you move to do something else. So over time, I've been in a number of groups, but the group that you're referring to is with Jess Pettit, Tom Singer, and Jerry O'Brien. And we've been together for a decade,
Wow.
which is it's an extraordinarily long time for a mastermind group. We all absolutely think we are the weak link of the group. And I think that's what keeps us humble and coming back, because there's still that we're very much a family. We are like siblings at this point. Our group is called Bat Signal because if we ever need each other, we could absolutely, like, if you send a bat signal, like that's what you write in your, I'm sending up the bat signal. We will be there. Like, we are on it. I will drop anything for any one of those 3 if I know that person needs me. So that's the level of commitment that we have to each other. What I will say is I would not still be a professional speaker if it were not for those 3 people, because they
really?
absolutely refused to let me quit.
Uh-huh.
And there was a period of time when my girls started high school and there were family things going on. There were my parent things going on. It was just a lot. And it was just like, I could not concentrate on my business. I was feeling like a failure because things weren't going well, and they absolutely would not let me quit. And so they are the truth tellers, they are the supporters, they are my family, and I wouldn't still be doing this without them. That's the relationships that you can build within this organization.
Mhm.
We are also allowed to cheat on each other. Almost all of us have other mastermind groups that we're involved with. Sometimes they are to provide something specific. Sometimes they are, like right now, I have a group within NSA Wisconsin. There's 4 women who we're working together, but we've all made a commitment about where we're going to take our businesses in the next 24 months. It's a different kind of experience than I have with these people that I've been with for 10 years. So it doesn't mean that you have one, I say we cheat on each other. It's just an agreement that we have. And but as I said at the beginning, one of the things that you have to have is people who get it and understand and have some expertise who are willing to tell you the truth.
Or what was the last part? I'm sorry.
Who are willing to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm. What you said about assuming that you're the weakest link,
Yeah.
I do think that would keep you humble, because I could see some people coming and going, you want to learn from me. You want me to tell you, like, I'm the one who, but I can see where you come in with that attitude that says, I have a lot to learn from these people and I'm the weakest link. Thank you for having me in the group.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes you approach every conversation a little bit differently, which doesn't mean that at some point in the relationship, everybody's the expert, right? So we come at it, somebody's going to bring more of a corporate mentality, somebody's going to, bring different things. So we all get to be the expert, but we all still believe we're the weakest link.
Mm-hmm. And that has sustained you for 10 years.
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember too, not all groups, like you say, are going to function at that level of commitment and concern and caring for all the members of the group. But there's an equal value in being in a group that, like you said, lasts for a year. For me, if they're keep calling me to be accountable, I think that's one of the values of being in the mastermind group. You said you were going to do this.
And I think there's a difference between a group who is like, if you need somebody to hold your hand, that's a mentoring relationship. But if what you need is a group who is going to inspire you to push past what's holding you back, because that's why we don't get things done a lot of the time. It's like we don't push past what's holding us back. And it's not so much that I need my mastermind group to call me up and see if I did the thing that I said I was going to do. It's just the knowledge that I am never showing up to a meeting not having done what I said I was going to do. Like,
yes,
it fires up that internal motivation. It's not an external motivation. And I think that's what's necessary to reach and continue to reach the next level.
I've had that same experience with weekly calls where we are set up as an accountability thing. The night before, I'll go, oh, I have that call tomorrow. What did I do what I said I was going to do? And wait, there's that one more thing.
Right.
And I make sure it's done, because I don't want to go to that call and have it be something where I'm wasting another person's time too. I want to come to it doing what I said I was going to do, but still have it be valuable for the other person as well.
Well, and sometimes there are times that you don't do what you said you were going to do, which is fine. You just need to have the right reason. So when the big mastermind got together last November, I came out of that with a plan and sat with that plan for probably 6 or 8 weeks, and then realized it's not the right plan. So, me recognizing that and making a new plan means that new plan has to be that much better. It's like you got to come to the table with everything.
And with that new plan, you probably went back to the mastermind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I think every single one of us, well, I know because we've said it, and I think we said it when we were all together last year, is that every single one of us, our business has grown, our at-home relationships are better. Just having this ability to have a support group, accountability group, whatever you want to call it, really does propel you to success.
Mhm. I
Which
think
is
this is
why
a
it's
hard
great to
business.
start your career with an academy who's going to provide some of that for you to start out. Just saying.
Mhm. I think you're right. It's a tough business. And I think that having things like the NSA National, the NSA chapter in Wisconsin, or we're
Mhm.
connected with Kansas City,
Right?
the Speaker Academy, the Speaker, all those things are ways, the mastermind groups that you talked about, those are all ways that we can find that we don't have to navigate this by ourselves,
Yeah, absolutely.
just like you're doing with us this morning. And it's
Yes.
wonderful. It's great ideas, and it's interesting to do these interviews too, because the things that Lisa Kennedy talked about, or Mike Domish talked about, or that you're talking about, all have a very similar thread to them. So I think
Mhm.
that's going to be really helpful going forward with our Academy members and our chapter members who can say, "Oh, I forgot about that. Oh,
Mhm.
I forgot to network," or "Oh, I really need to go back to some basics here and
Yeah.
decide what kind of Girl Scout cookies I really want."
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And I want to say thank you, John, for being such a good steward of the academy. It makes me so happy to know that it's in such good hands.
well, thank you.
And I love this interview series idea. I think it's really cool. Um, but to those people who are in the academy or thinking about being in the academy, the things that you learn in the academy are the things that will sustain your business throughout your entire career. Pay attention, do the work, you will get there.
I think that's the most valuable thing, is to know that if you do the work, it's all laid out for you,
It
that
is.
it's going to create
It is.
success. Yeah. Eliz, this has been a great conversation. I am thrilled to be talking to you. I am inspired by you, and so glad that I get to work with you this year in the NSA chapter.
Me too. Thanks so much.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Two Talk Smart. Look for more episodes in the very near future. I'm John Nepper. Let's change the world one conversation at a time.